There are no American troops in the Middle East in this timeline, which means there's no blowback from American troops in the Middle East, which means the specific grievances that built Al-Qaeda never quite assembled themselves, which means no September 11th, which means no Patriot Act, no TSA, no shoes off at the airport, no 2-hour early arrivals, no war in Afghanistan, no war in Iraq, no $8 trillion spent, no 900,000 people dead. All of that, gone. Because of one war, one general, one scouting mission he was told not to go on, and he listened. In the summer of 1814, British soldiers walked into the White House, sat down, and ate the dinner that had already been set for the American president. Then they burned the building down. President Madison had fled so fast his wife Dolly had to grab a portrait of George Washington on her way out the door. James, they are inside the city. One moment, I'm writing a strongly worded, James, they are inside the house. I'll finish it in the carriage. Now. That really happened. The British really did that. And then they left. But what if they didn't leave? What if, instead of sailing home after burning the capital, Britain looked at a broken, humiliated America and thought, we could just take this? And what if, at that exact moment, 30,000 of the most battle-hardened soldiers on Earth had just become available? April 1814. Napoleon Bonaparte abdicates his throne and is exiled to the island of Elba. Britain has just won the biggest war in European history. Its army is enormous, experienced, and suddenly has nothing to do. Real fact, after Napoleon's first abdication, Britain rapidly redeployed thousands of Peninsular War veterans to North America. In our real timeline, Wellington himself was offered command of the American campaign. He declined, partly because he thought the war was going badly, partly because he was busy, and partly because he considered North America beneath him. You want me to go to America? We do, Your Grace. To fight Americans. Yes, I just beat Napoleon. We are aware. No. In our real timeline, Wellington passed. A smaller force of veterans went. They burned Washington. They failed at Baltimore. The war ended in a draw in December 1814. But here's the real turning point, and it is a real one. September 12th, 1814. British General Robert Ross is about to reconnoiter the approaches to Baltimore. His aides tell him not to go personally. He goes anyway. American sharpshooters shoot him off his horse. He dies within hours. His replacement, General Arthur Brooke, is more cautious. The assault on Baltimore is called off. Fort McHenry holds. A lawyer named Francis Scott Key watches from a British ship and writes a poem. America calls it a victory. The war ends in a draw. Now change one thing. Ross listens to his aide. Sir, I really must insist you not go personally. You worry too much. Sir, there are American sharpshooters in those trees. There are always American sharpshooters in trees. This feels different, sir. Fine, send someone else. Thank you, sir. But I want a full report in 20 minutes. Ross lives. And Ross is the best British general in North America. He coordinates the land and naval assault properly. Fort McHenry, bombarded from the water and hit by 4,500 experienced troops on land, falls on September 14th. Baltimore is taken, and then the letter arrives from London. In October 1814, the British government, now flush with Napoleon's veterans and looking at a weakened America, sends new orders to their commanders. Do not negotiate for the pre-war borders. Push further. The War Cabinet, led by Lord Liverpool, has done the math. America is broke, its army is shattered, and Britain has 30,000 men with nothing else to fight. Gentlemen, we just beat the greatest military mind in history. Yes, Prime Minister. And now we're letting America off with a handshake? When you put it like that, send them everything we have. By December 1814, the full force of British Peninsular War veterans has landed on the American eastern seaboard. These are not the soldiers America has been fighting. These men spent 6 years dismantling the French Empire across Portugal and Spain in the most brutal, sustained land campaign in European history. They are not impressed by America. Right, lads? We fought the French in the mountains of Spain in the middle of winter with no boots. Yes, Sergeant. This is Virginia, in autumn. Yes, Sergeant. This is basically a holiday. The American army, already demoralized from 3 years of failed invasions of Canada, faces something entirely different now. These veterans have unit cohesion, battlefield discipline, and generals who fought alongside Wellington. They move fast, they don't stop. Philadelphia falls in January 1815. It takes 11 days. In Washington, or what's left of it, President Madison convenes a cabinet meeting in someone's house because the actual government buildings are still ash. They have Philadelphia. I know, James. Philadelphia. I know, James. That's the second largest city in the country. I am aware of the size of Philadelphia. What do we do? I'm still writing the letter. James. New York falls in March. Boston is besieged by April. Andrew Jackson, commanding American forces in the South, wins a genuine victory at New Orleans in January. the same battle that in our timeline made him a national hero. He defeats a British force decisively. It is a brilliant action. It changes nothing. We won. Tell Washington. Sir, they have Washington. Tell Philadelphia. They have Philadelphia, sir. Tell New York. Oh no. By June 1815, the American military as an organized fighting force has effectively ceased to exist. Madison attempts to flee to the interior. He is captured in Pennsylvania. Mr. President, former president, I suspect. Indeed, sir. Would you like some tea? Yes, actually. Thought you might. Here is where it gets complicated. Britain has conquered America, and Britain immediately realizes it has absolutely no idea what to do with it. Here's the problem. America in 1815 has roughly 8.4 million people, a vast interior nobody has mapped properly, no functioning central government, a militia culture with a lot of guns, and a population that has spent 40 years being told they are free. Governing this is going to be a nightmare. Excellent, we've won. Yes, Prime Minister. What do we do now? We govern them, Prime Minister? All of them? All 8 million, yes. Good God. We've added a Governor General role. Who volunteered? No one, Prime Minister. Who did we assign it to? We're still deciding. Find someone we don't like. Britain's solution is essentially what they did with Canada, but louder and more annoyed. They do not try to destroy American culture. They do not arrest everyone. They are not interested in running a police state across 800,000 square miles. Instead, they do something that infuriates Americans more than any cruelty would. They treat the whole thing as a minor administrative problem. America becomes the province of Colombia. It gets a governor general appointed from London. It gets a local legislature with real power over local matters. It gets fair taxation, actually lower than what Americans were paying under their own government to fund the war debt. The British are not generous, but they are consistent. They have a system. The system works. It is not exciting. It is deeply humiliating. They taxed my farm at 4%. What did you pay before? 8. The war debt? And I hate them. But your farm is, I hate them so much. Tecumseh, still alive in this timeline because Britain committed to the campaign fully, negotiates the indigenous protectorate across the Ohio Valley. He gets it in writing, with a British guarantee. It is not a perfect arrangement. The British are not friends. But the systematic erasure of indigenous nations that defined real American expansion simply does not happen here. Because there is no American expansion. The protectorate endures. You're guaranteeing this border in writing, and you'll honor it. We are the British Empire. That is not an answer. We'll honor it. I'm keeping a copy. Very sensible. The province of Colombia spends the next 50 years being resentful and surprisingly prosperous. Britain invests in infrastructure, roads, ports, railways, because it needs them to extract resources efficiently. The Americans benefit from this while complaining loudly about it at all times. The British built us a railway. Good. I hate that it's good. It's very convenient. I know. I hate it. Slavery ends earlier. In 1833, Britain abolishes slavery across the entire empire. That includes the province of Colombia. Southern plantation owners are furious. They are also overruled by an empire of 200 million people that does not particularly care about their feelings. The British pay compensation, grudging, inadequate, but real, and the institution is ended. A southern rebellion in 1836 is crushed efficiently by the same veterans who beat Napoleon. It lasts 4 months. That took 4 months. Yes, sir. Napoleon took 6 years. Yes, sir. This was not challenging. No, sir. I need a more interesting posting. California remains Mexican. Texas is a genuinely independent republic until 1870, when it goes bankrupt for the 8th time and quietly asks the province of Colombia if they can join. They are told to ask Britain. Britain says, fine, but you're paying your own debts. Texas agrees and immediately regrets it. We would like to join the province. What happened to independence? We have $40 million in debt. We said you'd have to pay it. Yes. And we've reconsidered independence. World War I still happens. It is an internal European catastrophe that has nothing to do with America. The assassination, the alliances, the trenches, the industrial slaughter, all the same. The difference, the province of Colombia fights under the British flag. Colombian men serve in British uniforms. They are very good soldiers. They are also deeply angry about serving in British uniforms, which makes them aggressive in a useful way. We're fighting for Britain. We're fighting against Germany. While wearing British uniforms, focus on the Germans. I just want to register my objection. Noted. Now fix bayonets. The province of Colombia's contribution is significant enough that its representative sits at Versailles, not as an independent nation, as a colonial delegation. This goes about as well as you'd expect. We would like to speak. You may observe. We lost 80,000 men. You may observe quietly. World War II. Hitler still rises. The conditions? Humiliated Germany, economic collapse, weak European institutions are unchanged. The war begins the same way. The difference is industrial. The province of Colombia is part of the empire from the start. Its factories are British military assets from day one. The ramp up is faster and starts in 1939. The war ends in 1944, 1 year earlier. The atomic bomb is a British Colombian project. It is dropped. The Colombian scientists who built it feel approximately how you'd expect them to feel about it. We built a weapon that ended the war. You should be proud. We built it for Britain. It's complicated. Yes, the post-war world has no American superpower. The British Empire and the Soviet Union face each other across a divided Europe. The province of Colombia is enormous, powerful, and restless. Its factories and manpower doing most of the heavy lifting while British diplomats take most of the credit. Britain could not have won the war without us. The British papers disagree. What do the British papers say? Plucky colonial contribution to British victory. There's more. Province shows promising development. I am going to need a moment. There is no CIA. No Iranian coup in 1953. No backing of the Shah. Iran's Mossadegh nationalizes the oil and stays in power. Iran becomes a prosperous democracy. The specific chain of grievances that produces modern Islamic extremism never assembles itself in the same way. Vietnam falls to communism without a war. Korea too. The world is messier in some places and quieter in others. In 1967, the Province of Colombia Independence Act passes through Westminster with surprisingly little debate. Britain, dealing with the end of empire globally, hands Colombia self-governance in a process that is embarrassingly casual given how dramatically it was taken in the first place. We're granting Colombia independence after 150 years. Yes, they fought 2 world wars for us. They did. They built our nuclear bomb. Also true. And we're just giving it back. It was always theirs, technically. Then why did we take it? It seemed like a good idea in 1814. The new nation names itself the United States of Colombia. It writes a new constitution that is almost word for word the original 1787 document, with one major addition: a constitutional prohibition on starting wars without a formal declaration by the legislature. Born from 150 years of fighting Britain's wars, it passes unanimously. Article 7. The United States of Colombia may not engage in military action without a formal declaration of war by the legislature. All in favor? Aye. 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 Unanimous. Gentlemen, we will never again fight someone else's war. That felt good to say. It really did.